A gorgeous day at the beaches here in Dubai as we proudly present the 2015 World Beach Ultimate Championships. Dubai Sports and Sky Magazine coming together to bring you this groundbreaking coverage of the fourth ever Beach Worlds, and it's time for the Open Final. USA and Great Britain, a matchup we have been looking forward to all week long. So great to have you with us. I'm Evan Lepler, pleased to be joined by the two great voices of Ultimate, Brian Jones and Megan Tormey. Two teams that have not lost, USA and GB. They both won their pools. They both got through tough matchups in the semis, and here we are on the verge of this epic clash. Brian, I know you're very excited for this game. What will you be looking for early as perhaps a decisive factor or two?
Well, I think the keys for Team USA is you have to be able to contain Justin Ford. He's an elite thrower with elite athleticism. He's one of the do-all type of players that you're going to have to defend in multiple capacities. And be ready for a Great Britain team with a lot of confidence. They believe that it is their time. And when that belief can be a very powerful thing. I think they're doing the right things and focusing inward, and I'm excited to see what the outcome of this game will be.
Yeah, we chatted with Justin Ford, and he tells us he truly believes this could be the very first Open Championship for Great Britain in a world-class event. And Megan, for the Team USA perspective, they're used to being the favorites, but they probably have not been tested like they'll be tested today.
That's right. They have become so used to their offense winning these games for them. Of course, the players, the pedigree of the players on the team, they're great defenders as well. But in order to win this game, they're going to have to rely very heavily on how well their offense runs. And now that it's going to be pressured a little bit more, they have to still trust the throws that they have and the receivers who are going to come down with the tough jump balls.
United States 7-0 in pool play, a plus 57 differential. They outscored their opponents 91-34 in the 7 pool play games. The closest one was against Canada, a game we covered here at the stadium. USA prevailed 13-9. In the pre-quarters, USA overcame a 3-1 deficit, outscored Ireland 12-1 down the stretch in a 13-4 win. Then passed Russia 10-3 in the quarters. The semifinal yesterday was a classic finish, requiring a spirit timeout in the final point. The Philippines, though, ultimately succumbed 8-7 in the ferocious wins. Meanwhile, this Great Britain team, also 7-0 in pool play, a plus 45-point differential, 89-44. Beat Qatar 13-2 in the pre-quarters, beat Germany 13-9 in the quarters, and really dismantled Canada yesterday in the win. The teams have lined up on the field, and we'll send it down for the introductions of the USA and Great Britain rosters here in the Open Championship.
Number 17, Max McCartney. Number 19, Richard Harris. Number 23, Ashley Yao. Number 27, Benjamin Funk. Number 28, Justin Ford. Number 32, Tom Abrams. Number 52, Matt Parslow. And number 99, Rob Schumacher. There are two teams, ladies and gentlemen. Man, please take the field.
So the stage has been set. USA and Great Britain to combined 20-0 here on the beaches in Dubai. We welcome you back to our broadcast site. Evan Lepler with Brian Jones and Megan Tormey. Brian, you talked about the importance of Justin Ford, but this is not a one-man show. For those who aren't necessarily familiar with the Brits, who else should we have our eyes on, and how will they stop the U.S.?
Well, it depends what you want, Evan. I mean, do you want a tall athlete? You're going to look at Sam Bowen. You're going to look at Ollie Gordon. You're going to look at Ashley Yo. You're even going to look at Benjamin Funk, an American from Stanford on this team, a Callahan nominee just a few years ago. If you want to go ahead and look at somebody who's going to be a shutdown defender, you're going to look at Richard Harris, somebody who can guard handlers and cutters alike, Tom Abrams, somebody who's probably going to match up against Mario O'Brien. We're looking at Max McCartney. There are athletes down the line. This is a Clapham team through and through, except for Sam Bowen. They are ready to go. They are integrated well. They are playing with chemistry.
Ashley Yo led Great Britain in goals during the tournament. He had 26. That was second most in the entire Open division. Only Denmark's Andreas Knudsen had more. Meanwhile, this Great Britain team also anchored by Justin Ford, who was third in the division with 23 assists. Now, Megan, USA is remarkably balanced, insanely so. They didn't have anybody in the top 9 goal scorers in the division, but they had a half dozen in the top 20. That's how solid this offensive line is. Really, so many versatile threats.
When you look at the stat leaders on the United States, there's really not much discrepancy between the person who's made the most impact numbers-wise and the person who's made the least impact number-wise. That affords a lot of confidence. Just like we saw in the Open Masters team, it's really great when a team feels like they can put any 5 on the line, and that line is going to get the job done.
USA is going to pull at the outset of this Open title game.
Time is running, gentlemen.
Very nice conditions, sun shining, a slight breeze across the field, and Brett Matsuka gets us underway out there with Goose Helton and Jack Hatchett, Teddy Brower-Jarris, and Mark Poole. Rob Schumacher, Justin Ford, Ashley Yo, the 3 cutters for the Brits. Here's Ford, number 28. Back into the hands of the primary handler, Jamie Cross. And underneath it's Yo. Schumacher to the end zone, and the Brits with a convincing first point. Offensive flow reigns supreme.
I love the way Great Britain is using the space. Right away, they start out with an isolation-based play. Handler is able to clear out, and the cutter is able to come back into that handler space. We talked about it in our interviews before the game. Great Britain has undergone a transformation since I saw them first in 2011. They used to be a team that was get the up line, get power position, and throw the huck every single time. And now they're a team that can beat you by being patient. They can beat you by taking the deep shots. And they're having a great sense of when to do each one.
How much of that adjustment do you think has come from competing against some of the best teams from the United States who play the more conservative game? Sure, Revolver and Sockeye and Bravo and Ironside, they can shoot the deep ball, but they take the high percentage chance.
It's that Clapham has invested in coming to the United States. It was a big turning point in 2012. Great Britain made it to the title game of WUGC in Japan and just were not mentally ready to compete. They've decided to kind of change their system up and willing to be a bit of a chameleon in terms of offensive strategy. They've learned from it. They've gone to Chesapeake year after year, attended US Open, and that experience has been invaluable to them.
This offensive line for the United States, anchored by Mario O'Brien and Alan Kolick. Downfield, Tyler DiGirolamo, Jack Marsh, and Asa Wilson.
Abrams matched up on DiGirolamo, and that's going to be something we'll watch almost all game long.
DiGirolamo shakes his defender, and Kolick, the around lefty flick. Marsh to Wilson underneath. DiGirolamo streaking deep, and Wilson puts it too far. The Brits will look to take advantage of the unforced giveaway.
Lucky break for Tom Abrams, who wasn't able to keep up with DiGirolamo all that point. In talking with Justin Ford before the game, that was one of their decided matchups. They wanted Tom to be able to shut down DiGirolamo in 2 easy jukes. DiGirolamo was able to get open on Abrams quite easily.
Yeah, you think about what could be a deciding factor in this game and who from the United States might emerge as a key guy down the stretch. They've really played such great team ultimate as a unit. Nobody has stood out all that much. Asa Wilson's led the team in goals. Jared Inselman has led in assists.
There are 2 players to me that really stood out from the semifinal performance, and growing even more to appreciation for a player I get to coach, Jack Marsh, but also Mario O'Brien just did what needed to be done for Team USA at the end of that game against the Philippines.
I think he had about 14 game-winning hucks. First 13 were called back, and the USA gets a break. That shot to the end zone from Ollie Gordon went awry.
Thought last time on offense, the U.S. may be guilty of being a little too hyped up on offense. They were moving with good flow. They missed the pass. It's a little bit faster of a rhythm than we used to be seeing, that we saw them most of the time take the open decision, hesitate a little bit more, wait to be sure.
Wilson looking deep. DiGirolamo puts it up. What a read by Wilson. That's why he's led this team in goals. That throw got caught up in the wind, but the British defender, Tom Abrams, was unable to make the adjustment that Wilson did.
Every once in a while, you see a couple of players emerge from year to year that are not the tallest in the field, but somehow are always beating people deep. And Asa Wilson is a goal-scoring machine. Guys like Josh Wiseman of Revolver and others who just simply know how to time their deep cuts so well. They work well with other teammates, and he's been doing it for a long time with Chain Lightning.
Wilson recently with Chain played college ultimate for UCSB, the Black Tide out in Santa Barbara. He was captain of the men's team, ended up marrying the captain of the women's team, as occasionally works out in the ultimate family. So the USA and the United Kingdom even at 1. Matsuka, another pull. Handled on the fly by Dominic Clark into the hands of Jamie Cross. And an early hammer defended by the laying out Goose Helton. Inselman to pick up. Quickly for Matsuka. Crossfield for Helton. And one more to the end zone, the layout grab for the United States. Frank Devin Barrich.
Plays like that are going to be the difference maker in a game where 2 very offensively heavy teams are matching up. That layout D by Goose Helton, really textbook Goose if you know him and have watched him play over the years. He's an absolutely explosive athlete. Those coming from behind D's, not at all a problem for him. But like I said, it's going to generate the opportunities that the United States need to set themselves apart from this very strong Great Britain team.
More and more, Goose Helton has surged his name into the conversation of the top players in the country. What have you seen from him in his progression from good to great?
It started with his play in the AUDL that's had him rise to prominence, and he's a player that can get the job done defensively, like we saw with a great layout, but has great throwing mechanics, and was giving lessons on how to pivot during the Rise Up Clinic earlier this week. Super impressed with the balance that he exhibits.
Great Britain deep off the pull, and Ashley Yo comes down with it. Jack Hatchett tastes him and got a piece of that backhand. So Hatchett got beat and quickly recovered with an excellent mark. Barrich puts it to the end zone for Broward Jarris. USA in a great rhythm right now. That's 3 in a row for the Americans.
Starting to walk away with it, and the energy is absolutely charged on the blue side of the field. Great Britain walking a little slower, a little more lackluster. They're going to need to amp up the intensity if they want to keep hanging with this United States team. We've talked so much about how that three-point deficit is absolutely lethal in these beach games. The one shining example contrary was the game where the United States Grandmasters team was down by more than that and managed to come back for a win. But we have not seen efforts like that very often here in the World Championship of Beach Ultimate.
That was the first final of today in the Grandmasters. Sweden led 9-5. The soft cap was on. And then Sweden really self-destructed. They were relying on 5 or 6 guys and just ran out of gas. USA scored pretty easily down the stretch, 5 in a row, getting turnovers.
We see a 2-2-1 zone. This worked before because I think what you're seeing right now from Great Britain is a little bit of a shell shock in that they haven't seen this pressure yet this tournament, and that was a concern coming in this game. U.S., on the other hand, has been tested to the fullest of their abilities and mentally seemed ready for this matchup. If Great Britain could survive these first couple of points and score here and stay patient, you can give them a great chance to succeed. But historically, this is where teams come into a game like this, face a U.S. team ready to go.
Mark Gilbert forced to throw that high, and somehow it arrives at the target. Now the hammer back to Gilbert, and short flip for Clark.
And they just have to be ready to stay with it mentally. They cannot self-destruct.
Kolick lays out unsuccessfully. Ford gets it to the brink of the end zone. This is Matt Parslow. Good around, backhand to Clark. The swing for Gilbert. Great Britain kind of stagnant near the end zone. The cut, though, comes from the handling core. A straddle in the end zone, but the quick flip from Dominic Clark to Matt Parslow. And in a must-score situation, Great Britain responds.
And a sigh of relief, I think, came out of all of Great Britain fans, because that's just a pivotal point early on in this game. Megan, you talked about the 3-point deficit, but you need confidence. You were shaking a little bit. Now you can put your defensive studs on the field and see what you can do.
The United States beat the Philippines in a Universe Point thriller yesterday. That game is archived on the web. Go to Sky Magazine's YouTube page. You can watch that in its entirety. You can be the judge for yourself on whether calls down the stretch were the right ones or the wrong ones. In the end of that game, though, the spirit timeout was held, and multiple Team USA players have said that Tyler Kinley was the key calming voice during that spirit circle, basically telling everyone, hey guys, this is just a game. One team's gonna win, one team's gonna lose. Inselman shoots one for Wilson, who's just been the fastest guy on the sand all week long, breaking away from his defender, Benjamin Funk. That wasn't even close.
Asa twinkle toes Wilson after he got up to that one. Just you look at the end of this run, and he's just waiting for the disc to come down.
Certainly a gorgeous throw from Inselman. What have you learned about Inselman this week?
A lot of what, just reinforcing of how good he really is. And Inselman is not the most athletic specimen in Ultimate, but has a motor that doesn't quit, has an IQ that's crazy for the sport, and a consistency that you can rely on. And you see that with players from Team USA, players like Mario O'Brien, players like Jared Inselman. And just, I've gained an appreciation for how good he has been over the last 5 years in the club game.
Barrich, Hatchett, Matsuka, Brower Jarris, and DiGirolamo on the D-line here for the U.S. talked about how the Brits would be relying on Justin Ford. So far, he's had a couple catches in the flow of the offense, but hasn't done anything overly dynamic. Does he need to do so for the Brits to have a chance?
I think he has to look for those opportunities like any good player. It can be hard. It's at this level, you can't dominate by yourself. He's got a good supporting cast around him. He is going to be the focal point to make some pivotal plays.
Ford a quick touch and then dumps it back. The swing over to Clark. Ford breaking deep. They hammer beyond the defense, and Ford gets hammered by Hatchett. He dropped the disc at the apex of his jump, and no foul was called. Quick restart, Matsuka to Hatchett for Brower Jarris. Hatchett over the head of Frank Devin Barrich and out of play.
Just lifted that disc lip up a little too much on that quick inside, on that quick flick. The wind had an easy time taking it up and out the side of the field.
It's been something of an eye-opening tournament for Jack Hatchett as well. You know, a guy on Boston Ironside who's been overshadowed by George Stubbs and Danny Clark, Matt Rebholz, Brandon Malachek from time to time, but Hatchett second on this Team USA squad with goals behind only Asa Wilson.
Hatchett has the speed to be a great receiver. He's been developing past just a great shutdown defender, a great defender in general for Ironside, and now he's starting to get a little bit more trust with the disc in his hands, and he still has room to grow.
Knifing that pass forward, now looking for Ford in the end zone, and that one, once again, out of the reach of the British superstar. Ford has really put this Great Britain team on his back, and he's literally been the support mechanism this week because Justin Ford's mother moved to Dubai a few years back, so the entire team has been staying at family residence, about a 4 or 5 minute drive from the beach. Oh, what a shot by Matsuka. That's a silly backhand. Went right around Ford. And that's what Matsuka does, doesn't he?
You thought the air bounce was going out of style. You were wrong.
Hatchett avoids the laying out defender Schumacher. Brower Jarris puts one to space, but too much on that disc. Team USA starting to look at each other with some glances of frustration on the field here that you've rarely seen this week.
I think that even though they have this 4-2 lead, the Team USA offense has been trying to move at a higher clip than usual. They just seem really geared up for this matchup. We've seen them be so patient and so methodical earlier in the week.
Frank David Barrett poaching off his handler. Right back on Clark. Matsuka poaches off. You like this defensive strategy, Brian?
It's going to make GB slow down and think, and it gives a while for USA to stretch their legs. The one downside is as soon as it gets through the cup, you're going to give GB some free throws.
Yes, DiGirolamo playing the deep, deep spot. Let Ford have that 20-meter underneath cut. J.J. Howell is open, and the Brits find him. That defense looked promising at the beginning, but you said it, that one throw through the cut, Megan, and the USA was broken.
Yeah, not only that, but the around throw can be pretty lethal in that defense as well. It looked like some legs got a little weary, weren't moving as quickly as before. When they had the Great Britain team back a little bit farther down the field, it looked like they had no options downfield, but a throw up the middle of the field or a nice wide around kind of opens up more options for them, and then USA was slow to catch up.
So the United Kingdom back within one. Great Britain won the B pool, taking down the Philippines 12-10 in what proved to be the decisive game to win the pool. Philippines did win the bronze medal earlier today. Another elongated, controversial universe point. The Boracay Dragons taking gold over Canada by 1. Just out of the reach of the diving American Jack Marsh. And all of a sudden here, guys, Great Britain starting to tighten up defensively, and USA, you can see the body language not looking as comfortable out there.
They got their sea legs under him now after the first several points, gaining confidence, and that's huge.
Harris hammers to the end zone. What a shot! Incredible grab by Ashley Yo. And even the Americans were applauding that sensational play.
You will have to play with a fearless attitude if you are going to beat Team USA, and that's what Great Britain is doing now, especially with confidence. Early on, they made some mistakes. They've adjusted to the speed of the game and took advantage of an error which normally doesn't occur. Mario O'Brien is usually going to be good on hitting those arounds over and over again.
A fine line sometimes between reckless and fearless. That throw inches away from being too far out of bounds, and a giveaway off the USA turn, but instead we're tied 4-all. Mario O'Brien leads this O-line with Alan Kolick, Jared Inselman, Asa Wilson, and Jack Marsh.
I think the misnomer again when you look at Team USA versus the world is that Team USA has so much better athleticism, and I think they have a depth advantage. But this Great Britain team has a lot of athletes. And so if you're going to play to that strength, it's not a bad one to play to.
Alan Kolick. To Marsh. Jack Marsh has to have one of the more unique professions in the ultimate field. Is a deep look for Wilson again. The defense there from Bowen. There was some contact. Let's see how this evolves. What a throw around the layout mark from Gordon. What do you think?
It's hard to tell. I would have to take a look at another replay to be sure, but it almost looked like Sam Bowen got contact on the hand of Asa Wilson, and it looks perhaps uncontested? Yes.
So no contest on the foul. Wilson will restart play. USA organizing in the end zone. What have you seen from the USA around the end zone this week?
A lot of consistency, a lot of looking for the right option.
Sometimes the right option is an over-the-top hammer. Wilson drops the hammer for O'Brien. USA up 5-4. Jack Marsh, a key part of that point. You've gotten the opportunity to coach him. And what can you tell us about his unique profession?
Well, he runs a circus out in St. Louis, and so for half of the year he's actually commuting back and forth from New York City, his home, and he kind of grew up in the family style of that. And guy is very talented, very athletic, can do backflips on command. I wouldn't be surprised to see one today if Team USA does indeed win, and gotten a chance to know him on the ultimate field as well, and just a truly great guy, a great ambassador for the sport. Very spirited. You hardly ever see him actually get angry. Awesome guy to be a teammate with and to be a coach with.
On this defensive line, Helton, Cranston, McShane, Matsuka, and Poole. Poole and Matsuka, the two captains of this American squad. So Schumacher. Ford goes up line, doesn't get the disc though. Squeeze that one into Cross.
At the risk of sounding almost like John Madden, there's a way that Great Britain moves with a disc that reminds me of a lot of great American throwers.
As you say that, Helton intercepts the errant pass. You could do far worse than sound like John Madden, though. Cranston connecting with Poole. McShane back for Helton. puts it looking for Matsuka. Usually a handler. Matsuka on the receiving end. He lays out for the score.
That's the second time we've seen a D from Goose Helton, who ends up throwing the goal. And this is what I think is very interesting about this USA team. Evan, you're right, Matsuka is normally a handler. We see this statistically across the board on this USA team. About an even split between number of goals caught and number of goals thrown by everyone on the team. Standard receivers and standard handlers alike.
The excitement level of the USA teammates there was like when the 5'11" point guard rises up for the dunk. You know, just doing something he doesn't normally do and doing it well.
That was a role that Brett Matsuka actually embraced really well on Johnny Bravo, a team last year full of talent in the club scene. Oftentimes there would be cutters coming back as handlers and handlers being able to move downfield. And Matsuka, we saw that, I believe, early on at the US Open, do that several times.
Matsuka spent his high school years in Hawaii, began his college career at University of the Redlands, and quickly transferred to Queensland University in Australia, and that's where he really started playing ultimate. This is Matsuka's third trip to Beach Worlds, but the first was representing Australia in 2007. Played for Team USA in 2011, and he said that in each of his three experiences, he's eliminated the Philippines, because Australia won the title in 07, beat the Philippines in the finals. 2011 USA with Matsuka on the roster also beat the Philippines in the finals. So the Boracay Dragons have had enough of Brett Matsuka. This is Ford. Great Britain trying to stop this 2-0 USA run. Scuba over the head of Jack Hatchett and into the grasp of the intended target. Great Britain back within one. Catch made by Ashley Yo.
Does that throw fall into your fearless category or foolish, Brian?
It's fearless. It's a scuba. Of course he should be throwing that.
What was I expecting, asking the gentleman whose Twitter handle is NoLookScuba?
But earlier I was talking about kind of the feel of this Great Britain team and the feel of the throwers. And what's really at stake here, Evan, for this tournament here is if Great Britain wins this game, they're going to look at a team that can be a contender, because so much respect has been given to the Buzz Bullets over the years because of their victories in the past over some American teams, and they've been the one team to prove to be able to do it. And so Great Britain has a chance to join that category and kind of vault themselves to number 3 in the international teams list with a victory here today. They look to have a feel of a U.S. elite team. They're very patient. They look at the field, they survey it. They have very good balance when they pivot and they throw. They do things very deliberately. They may not be there yet, but there's something about the look and feel of an elite ultimate player, and I just start to see that in more of Great Britain players than I do across the other nations.
One of the great USA Ultimate tournaments, the US Open, bringing international teams to the United States. And Clapham, the prime British club team that so many of these beach players also compete on. This time they're looking for Kolick deep. And again, the handler going deep proves to be an effective ploy for Team USA. Kolick flips it to DiGirolamo. Why not? 7-5 US. Clapham came to the US Open, and they competed strong, but they were overmatched by Sockeye and Sub-Zero and Bravo and Ironside. But it's that experience that perhaps helped them build confidence going into Lecco, and they took Revolver to the brink.
Halftime here in the United States will be on offense.
So USA takes half, 7-5, and the US will receive the disc off this next pull.
And that's exactly what Clapham is missing. And there's a lot of discussions I had with last night with some players from European markets about just how do you compete at this highest level. You need the experience. And this goes back to so many different things. I mean, we could go in so many different directions. Players think it's athleticism. That's the separation. Become a better ultimate player. Become a better thrower, have a better ultimate IQ. Those are all things people can work on, whether you're a beginner or you're playing grandmasters. Those are all things and fundamentals that players can always get better at. And so for Clapham, they can go through that experience over and over again by playing in these big tournaments and coming to the US Open, and they just can't, they don't get it in the European Championships, which they've been undefeated at for years. And so for them, this is just a golden opportunity to get what they crucially need.
I agree with you 100%, Brian. Athleticism is becoming more of a requirement to even step on the competitive ultimate field, but learning new ways to throw a throw, understanding that the lefty backhand is actually a viable option, watching some of the most skilled handlers do different things with the disc, that's what's going to help you develop the technique, develop the fundamentals, and the strategy to set yourself apart from other athletic teams.
Good flow here on the first point of the second half from the U.S. Using solid dumps and swings and underneath cuts. This is Wilson, primarily a deep cutter, but in that handler spot, right on the money for Inselman. 8-5 U.S. That's the kind of offensive flow that the U.S. has consistently displayed, separating itself from the rest of the field here in Dubai.
And that's what you expect when you have this combination of elite players, and they for every conservative handler they took a more audacious thrower in terms of like Brett Matsuka versus Mario O'Brien, or Tyler Kinley versus Alan Kolek. And then you have your defensive stoppers with Goose Helton and Jack Hatchett, and you have your veteran leadership with Teddy Brower-Jarris. They have everything a team needs to get the job done. People fulfilling those roles, the glue guys that truly just step up, can be consistent, and will deliver on expectations.
Hatchett to pull. Game to 13, soft cap in 45 minutes. Gotta tell you, one of my favorite parts of this tournament format is that there's no hard cap. You always have the victorious team scoring the final point, something that I think is an essential change that USA Ultimate needs to embrace at their championships. You might disagree with me.
No, I think that's a really great point. A lot of people don't like the kind of letdown you get from playing a final point where the losing team scores to end it.
Oh, trying to squeeze it through, but Hatchett, an effective poach for the U.S. Helton broke deep, leaving Cranston wide open underneath. Matsuka seeing the field. And resets for McShane. McShane, part of that Johnny Bravo team, a leader of the defensive line for the Denver champions.
Kind of overshadowed with just the group of talent there, but Jack McShane has been in a lot of people's radar for a long time.
McShane to Hatchett. USA in cruise control right now, taking its largest lead in the gold medal game here in Dubai.
Fascinating part of that point was it looks like the offense was starting to get a little bit weary, yet each individual on the team made the opportunity to generate one option. Saw a lot of stagnation downfield, but it didn't result in overall stagnation in the offense. It's like each individual player was taking a cut or two to rest, maintained their space, maintained options, and therefore maintained flow.
You look at this game so far, Evan, and you look at the week. USA comes in, they've had some time together, and they want to keep building. And if you want to play your best game, you want to have it happen in the finals. There have been some mistakes, and that's kind of the nature of the chemistry issue that Team USA will have every time they step out on an international field. but I think that this Team USA is ready to go and playing at all, firing at all cylinders in a lot of ways.
Certainly not an extraordinary amount of mistakes compared to this British team that now trails by 4 despite being undefeated coming into this championship game. Great Britain in pool play beat the Philippines, Denmark, India, Germany, Japan, Singapore, and Ireland. USA beats Canada, Australia, France, Kenya, Russia, the UAE, and Qatar.
5 beers in can for 100 beers. That'll go all night long until they run out of
Getting through.
alcohol.
Really, Great Britain was tested far less than the U.S. was in bracket play. U.S. going down to the wire against the Philippines yesterday, and it really was the talk of the tournament. The 2 semifinals yesterday, both on Universe Point, enduring controversy. The Spirit timeout in the men's game, in the mixed game, the Eli Friedman layout hand block, Jeremy Norden called a foul. And you know, it's great that ultimate ambassadors around the world speak up, and it's been a topic of conversation. The reigning Callahan Award winner and golden boy of ultimate, Jimmy Mickle, weighed in on it and basically said, hey, I know Jeremy Norden. I don't think he's a cheater. I don't think he intentionally planned to cheat. He shouldn't be expected to make that call, and you know, that's a problem with the unobserved game. I think a lot of elite players more and more are feeling that way.
And when you look at Clapham, when they went to U.S. Open and they came back, and Justin Ford playing at regionals and nationals, saying, you know, they love the observer system. And I think a lot of teams here and countries are wary of it. They consider it a slippery slope, and you know, you don't need to implement it in your own country. You could come to the U.S. Open and try it out.
Jimmy Mickle would have looked good in the red, white, and blue jersey this week. Of course, the United States has plenty of depth as it is. That's a heck of a grab on the edge of the end zone. Ashley Yo snagged it, quickly dumped back for J.J. Howell. And then Yo on the layout the other side for the Brits. Think about all the good American players that are not on this team that could give this team a run for its money. You put the next 15 guys from the U.S. in a room with these guys and debate that.
You could come out with a comparable squad, certainly. A lot of big names aren't here.
And a bit of a now or never speech given by one of the Great Britain leaders. As they sense their backs are up against the wall, they got this one. And if they could put 2 in a row together, Richard Harris leading that outcry. Just a spectacular setting, sensational atmosphere, really a picture-perfect view that we are fortunate to have. The glistening ocean, the cool, comforting breeze rather than the intense, debilitating breeze of yesterday. USA 4 points away from gold. They left DiGirolamo open. He got the under. And it's Inselman. Wilson. Inselman hits O'Brien. Back to Inselman, and he leaps into the end zone for the score.
10-6, USA.
USA playing with an air of invincibility as an offensive unit right now.
Going into this, Goose Helton did say that the U.S. offense was unstoppable. You see the sage throwing expertise of Mario O'Brien, who's a very dynamic thrower, has more creative throws in his repertoire than the one we saw, but holstering until just the right window opened up. Really got to believe perhaps this offense is unstoppable.
The way they're playing right now, and I'm more impressed on the other side of the disc for Team USA. Last time Great Britain scored, but Mark Poole coming through almost had a layout poach block. The recognition and anticipation is incredible to see and watch. And I don't know if it's coming through on the TV for everybody here watching, but because I know how many times I've watched these guys closely. But this is something to behold, Team USA firing on all cylinders and just in tune with one another.
It's fun to watch, no question about it. Here's Rob Schumacher. Back to Dominic Clark. USA bunching up that middle, forcing the Brits to attack the perimeter. Ford tries to sneak through the middle, but not much there. The outlet for Yo, and now Clark. Nobody really breaking deep. Goose Helton playing the role of deep for the U.S. Not a guy you really want to attack in a 50-50 situation, that's for sure.
And this is a successful strategy because it's going to slow the game down for Team USA, and it's going to give them some opportunities, make Great Britain start to hesitate. They're doing a good job, as you said, Evan, packing the middle, forcing to go around the perimeter, but GB's not taking the swing opportunities right away, and they're not having any quick movement with the handlers, so they can't take advantage of the slight advantage you get once you get to the outside.
Justin Ford. Well, that might have been the last weapon the Brits had, and it was a dud. Trying the high release lefty backhand with nothing else was available, and you can see why he's a righty.
I'm sure that Great Britain didn't come in this tournament thinking that zone was going to be their undoing.
Matsuka having trouble finding an opening and turns it right back over, intended for Cranston at the last moment. Helton lays out in a great layout grab by his counterpart. Ashley Yo doing some tremendous things here. A name to know on the international scene, Ashley Yo, Y-E-Yo, Y-E-O. Easy for me to say. Parslow.
I believe he was part of the U23 team for Great Britain.
Clark and Ford, miscommunication. Hatchet takes off. Rower Jarris cut off from the huck. Timeout called by Team USA. Matsuka in possession of the disc. You know, we've seen the USA offensive line led by Mario O'Brien look so smooth. And O'Brien probably not in the conversation of top players in the world, but in terms of top ambassadors, top thinkers, top coaches, he's on that list. And you know, one of the first things he did when he came to Dubai was run a camp that you were involved in. What was that experience like, and how do you view Mario as one of the leading ambassadors of the sport?
I think Mario does an incredible job, and I always take every opportunity to learn from him and what he does. The stuff he's been doing with Rise Up has been great, as we saw actually him just catch a goal. It was a great moment to see how he organized. He had 4 hours of time. He's got people from the international community. How can I give them bits and pieces to take home, make them better leaders, make them better teachers? And we covered a variety of topics in really quick succession. And I would recommend Mario's clinics to anybody who's interested in getting better at Ultimate. Definitely look at Rise Up Ultimate, everything else he's done. And I would even say Mario O'Brien is a very good, great Ultimate player. He may not have the athleticism to be a big-time cutter, but the decision-making he has, the Ultimate IQ, the array of throws that Megan alluded to earlier, makes him a top player in the game and somebody that every club team would like to have.
And in that sockeye scheme, I mean, he is the template. That solid handler to play that short game back and forth. So USA leading 10-6 here in the men's open title game.
Let's hear the crowd.
Rower Jarris over to Helton and Cranston. Rower Jarris up the line to Goose. Cross field for Cranston. Into the end zone for Hatchett. The lead extends to 5.
Such selfless play from everyone on the field right now. You notice how they're just trying to get it into optimal position as opposed to looking straight towards the end zone or looking just straight towards an individual. A lot of equality in this kind of play.
That's what they tried to foster all week long too, is nobody had to be the hero in this squad. I would say that even though that they believe that changed a little bit in the Philippines, and we go back to Mario O'Brien. To me, just the amount of mental fortitude it takes, the consistency to hit those throws over and over again, and to be the guy that made the plays the Team USA absolutely needed to get done.
Well, the United States men's team played a split squad at layout and then went down to Jacksonville at the Helton's house. They all crashed and had a weekend of training and bonding. And it certainly has treated them well. Harris flicks it forward for Great Britain. And this is still a very positive week for Great Britain. It looks like they're ultimately going to fall short. We talked to Justin Ford on Tuesday and Wednesday, and he said, we're here to win. It's a tough overhand throw, and DiGirolamo comes up with a punch D.
The difference between, I think, the U.S. teams and international scene is coming down to the fact that a lot of international teams do not play against a lot of different looks. You saw Great Britain become uncomfortable by the use of a zone. You do that to a USA team, they usually have seen many different looks. It's part of the usual course of a game to start out with a zone defense, transition, multiple different defensive looks, and to be able to play through any situation and to pretty much figure out how to run your offense based on that. Great Britain still has a little bit to learn in that category.
Marsh hauls in the knuckling frisbee. Barrich to DiGirolamo, Matsuka, and Marsh. Tic-tac-toe. United States 1 point away from the gold. Great Britain will learn from this experience. They still got a ways to go. Their win against Canada, or their win against the Philippines, I should say, was significant. And then the semifinal win over Canada, a pretty good Canadian squad that just could not deal with the wind. And chatting with some of the guys on Team Canada, they said it was the wind decided the game, but they play better than us. Great Britain did. They deserve to win. So if USA breaks, this would do it. Inselman, Wilson, Poole, Kolick, and Helton. Looking deep for Ford. Not in the end zone yet. Bowen, so much traffic, but Ford able to get that foot in. One more glimpse into Justin Ford, who has come and played in the USAU National Championships with GOAT. Started to form relationships with members of the Canadian team, in particular Jeff Lindquist at the Great Beach Tournament, Paganello in Italy. So connecting with some of the top players from Canada in the World Games at Cali. So 12-7 USA. Soft cap officially on, but it does not matter. Game to 13. We'll have one more championship game for you on this frenetic Friday from Dubai. The mixed title. And passionate American patriots will be wondering what could have been if things had just transpired a hair differently yesterday in that mixed semifinal. USA unable to go for the sweep. Jack Marsh airs this one out. DiGirolamo and Wilson nearby. DiGirolamo's got it. He's got Wilson, and USA has gold. A convincing victory in the final. 13-7. Team USA celebrates a dominant week on the beach.
That's the most cameras we've seen.
Great Britain is an immensely talented team, a lot of athletes, and it's going to be hard for them because they came in playing to win, and that's how you know they care and are on the right track. But this Team USA was just ready to play from the opening pole, firing on all cylinders, a great mental focus. Was going to be hard for them to lose today.
Megan, it was last fall that this roster was officially made public, and we saw the talent that would come together. The question becoming, can they become a cohesive unit? And I think the answer is an obvious and emphatic yes.
Yeah, when you look at the players on this team, clearly leaders from their own club team or a professional team coming together to form a unit of equals. Very impressed by their ability to form a team, and of course their unstoppable offense proving to be truly unstoppable.
Great flow, great rhythm, great ultimate from the Americans. Team USA over Great Britain 13-7 in the open final. We've got one more championship game to go here in Dubai. The mixed title game will feature Canada and Germany. That's coming up in about 20 minutes or so. But for now, we say so long on behalf of Dubai Sports and Sky Magazine for our great crew, Megan Tormey, Brian Jones, and Evan Lepler, bidding you adieu for the moment as the United States takes gold in the open division. A nearly flawless performance from the Americans, and they will celebrate as the #1 team in the world here in Dubai.